Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Jennifer's Tale, My Life as a Crossdresser. Of course, I'm Jennifer and welcome to my podcast. If you are on YouTube watching this and are new to my podcast, please do me a favor, first things first, right below where you see me, please subscribe to my channel. That way whenever I have a new episode that comes out, you'll be the first one to know about it and you can check it out. If you are watching my YouTube channel, chances are you're a crossdresser like I am, or you're trans, or you don't know exactly what you are, but you're somewhere in the realm or the spectrum of being trans, from a crossdresser to wanting to change completely. I'm here for you. I'm here to help support you, to be your friend. A lot of times, a lot of us girls out there think we're all alone in this big world. You are not alone. I'm here as an open book to offer advice, to tell you of my experiences, to talk to you about my thoughts, hopes, dreams, desires, my family, you name it. I talk about all sorts of different things. I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that there's plenty of other girls out there that feel the way you do. And welcome. For those of you listening on audio, whether it be iTunes or Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you download your favorite audio podcast, same rules apply to you. This podcast, if you are a crossdresser, this is specifically for you. Make sure you do me a favor, subscribe to this podcast if you're new. Please check out previous episodes. There's all sorts of things from life experiences to tips and tricks. You name it, I cover it all. So, with that out of the way, let's get into this episode. This episode I'm titling A Little Spicy. Now, the reason I'm calling it that is because Valentine's Day just passed not too long ago, and I was talking to a friend of mine, Sally, and she suggested maybe I should tell a spicy story or something a little, talk about an experience that was a little, risque, whatever. Well, I don't want to talk about like super secretive stuff, but it made me think of an experience many, many years ago. It's probably about 1999, 2000, somewhere in there, when I was really kind of getting back into cross-dressing. I hadn't dressed for quite some time, but I had the opportunity. I was sharing an apartment with a friend of mine, and I had lots of opportunities to dress up while he was away at work. We kind of worked opposite schedules. So in the evenings when he was off to work, I could dress up. He also spent a lot of time away, like on the weekends and stuff, so that gave me free time to dress, and I was hoping to get out more in public. At that point in time, I was kind of unsure of myself, unsure of how I looked. I didn't have a lot of friends or other cross-dressers, other girls to go out with. So I was trying to find kind of trying to find somebody who would fit the mold of somebody I felt safe to be around, someone who I was hoping to find a guy, just so that I would feel safe around him. He might make me feel a little more feminine, more assured of my dress and my appearance, and maybe somebody who could take me out and be my chaperone for an evening, just to help me get out of the house, go somewhere, enjoy an evening, and be out. Back then I was like a lot of you girls out there. You get dressed up and you just don't leave the house. You feel like you're kind of confined to the four walls of your home, apartment, whatever. And it's tough for you to get out. Having somebody that can be there for you or with you helps give you that reassurance that it's okay for you to be out, for you to be who you are. And that's what I was looking for back then. This, mind you, this is back, still kind of the early days of the internet. America Online was still around. They had chat rooms and stuff. And I used to frequent the chat rooms quite a lot. There was a lot of like male for female, where you could find a lot of trans girls and stuff. There was cross-dressing sites and things like that, or chat rooms. And I would go on those and I would chat with people. And I eventually met a guy who was in my area down in Des Moines. And his name was Marty. He was, from chatting with him, I got to know him really well. We chatted quite a bit. He had been a Boy Scout. He was gay. He had an interest in guys wearing pantyhose, which is something I enjoy doing. So we kind of struck up a friendship, and I had confided in him that I don't go out very often. I would love to get out more. And he said that maybe we could go out and get a drink or something. So before we did that, he wanted to kind of meet me in person, and we have been chatting for several months. And there happened to be a weekend where my roommate was away, and I invited Marty over to my apartment for a coffee. Just something nice and simple where we could meet and get to know each other. He had sent me a picture of what he looked like, and he was very cute, a little bit on the heavy side, but he had dark curly hair and a beard, which I love a guy with a beard. And so I invited him over. It's like, why don't you come over? I'll fix you coffee. We can just sit and chat and get to know each other better. So we arranged a time for him to come. I gave him my address. Maybe not the smartest thing in the whole wide world, but I felt like I had got to know him enough. I felt safe enough chatting with him, and I think I can hold my own if something bad happened. So I invited him over. Anyway, I got dressed for that day. If you see some of my older pictures, I kind of had a look back then. I had kind of a black curly wig. I always wore a red top and a black mini skirt with black heels. And so that's how I dressed for him. I didn't have any kind of fancy coffee. I just made him a regular cup of coffee and some creamer. And I got all dressed and ready for him to come. And I was nervous. I was very nervous. It was one of the first times I was going to meet somebody as Jennifer. Like I said, I was kind of in my house. I had gone out a few times here and there, but I never really interacted with anybody. I would go out driving in my car and, sneak out of my apartment, hop in my car, drive around town, didn't really have anywhere to go. And like I said, I was trying to find somebody who could help me break that barrier of going out and doing things. So anyway, I got all dressed up as best I could, tried to look my prettiest for Marty, and he showed up, knocked on the door, and I invited him in. And he was just as cute and friendly in person as he was chatting with him and seeing his picture. He asked if he could give me a hug. We had a nice big hug, and my apartment was really small at the time, had a little small kitchen, and I invited him to sit down at the kitchen table. So he sat down, and I was like, let me get you that cup of coffee I promised you. And I kind of turned away from him, and I grabbed a coffee cup out of the cupboard and set it down. And I was so nervous that when I went to pour the cup of coffee, I spilled it all over the counter. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I spilled your coffee. Give me just a minute to clean it up. And I grabbed for some paper towels and started kind of blotting it down and stuff. And next thing you know, I felt somebody behind me. And he was like, oh, it's all right, honey. Here, let me help. And he put his arms around me and grabbed my paper towel and kind of gave me a bear hug at the same time as helping me clean up the mess, which I thought was very sweet. And feeling him up against me was very much, it made me feel warm and attractive, and that maybe we'll see what happens. So anyway, we got the mess cleaned up. I got him his cup of coffee. He sat on one end of the kitchen table in a chair. I got myself a cup and I sat down on the other side, and I very femininely crossed my legs, and we just kind of sat there and chatted. And he could tell that I was nervous because I kept fixing my skirt and I kept recrossing my legs. First I put my left leg on top of my right. And a few minutes later I put my right leg on top of my left. And we just kind of chatted, and he told me that I was very pretty and that he would have no problem taking me out somewhere. He, being a gay gentleman, he knew of a couple gay bars in Des Moines that he felt he could take me to, kind of a date where we could go out. And he was like, I want you to be able to go out and know that you're safe, that there's plenty of places where you can go where they'll be very welcoming. And so yeah, let's set something up. So we chatted for probably 45 minutes to an hour. And then he was like, well, I gotta get going. He had to go run somewhere, I think to his sister's or something. So he thanked me for the coffee. And when we went to get up, I was like, can I have another hug before you go? And he was like, oh, by all means. And so he gave me a hug. And when I kind of backed up from the hug, he gave me a kiss, which was very, very sweet for our first meeting. It made me feel really assured that he found me at least somewhat attractive. It made me feel that maybe this is a relationship that could go a little bit further, and definitely something that I would at least have a cute, friendly gentleman to take me out on a date. So he left. I was over the moon. It had been a great, just little first time meeting. And it took us probably about a month before we actually went out. But in between there, we would chat back and forth online through Instant Messenger. And I remember specifically talking with him after our meeting, like the next day, about how sweet he was and telling him how much I appreciated that he came over, that he made me feel very comfortable being Jennifer around him. And I was looking forward to our first date going out. And he was kind of complimenting me as well and thanking me for the coffee and reassuring me that you look just fine. I'd be more than happy to take you out. And I can't remember what, I kind of was prying for questions like, what did you think was my best feature? Did I look okay? Did you like my outfit? And this and that. And I was like, is there anything specific you remember from coming here and meeting me? And his response was, I remember how many times when you crossed your legs, I could look up your skirt, which totally caught me off guard. And I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. And he was like, oh, don't be. He goes, I could tell you were nervous because you kept crossing and uncrossing your legs. And he specifically told me what I was talking about each of those 3 times when I would cross my legs and he could see up my skirt and see everything. So I was rather embarrassed, but at the same time flattered. A little bit spicy there. But it really sent me kind of over the moon that he found me interesting in that way. It never really went much further than that. We went on a couple dates. He took me out. One of the first date I ever went on was with him. He was very sweet. He bought me drinks. We just kind of sat at a little table and chairs at a bar and chatted. I was very nervous. I didn't really do all that much. I remember a waitress coming over and checking on us and her rubbing my back saying, it's okay, hon, you look beautiful. And it was a great time. So I wish I could get back in touch with Marty. We lost touch over the years, but he was very sweet, very kind. He made me feel really good, really feminine about myself. And this episode's dedicated to Marty. And all of the guys out there who are like that, who are interested in cross-dressers like us, who make us feel pretty and sexy and comfortable in our feminine skin. And I hope you enjoyed the story. I would love to hear your feedback, or if you have stories along these lines, feel free to share or leave me a comment on this episode. Send me an email at jenniferstalepodcast@gmail.com. You can go to my Facebook page, which for the podcast is Jennifer's Tale, My Life as a Crossdresser, and leave a comment, leave your story there. Or you can track me down on Facebook on my regular Facebook page, which is Jennifer Hangartner, Hangartner. And that's it. Until next time, I hope this podcast finds you well. Check out previous episodes, and hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.